I've been doing Sam's channel for a good 3 years now, and wow, that's actually a long time when you think about it. And throughout the whole thing, I've always found someone in the comments asking for a video documenting my favourite movies of all time. And so as a thank you for sticking by me for so long, and because just why the hell not, we're here today to do just that. One minor problem though, I can't quite say with absolute conviction that this list doesn't seem to change every year or so, or in actuality probably extend to around 30 selections. Nor can I ever seem to rank them or settle on a number one choice, considering the second that I say one in particular takes the cake, I'll still feel deep down as if I'm doing a disservice to another. So here we go, in no particular order, here are a couple of Sam's favourite flicks. To explain why Total Recall works so well, I kinda need to explain the premise. Good old Arnold plays Douglas Quaid, a married man working as a construction worker in the year 2084 seeking more out of life, who pays a visit to Recall, a false memory implantation clinic that claim they can inject him with the sensation of a real-life holiday trip to Mars as a spy. But complications arise when once in the chair, a new personality surfaces before the procedure even begins, and it's revealed that Doug is actually a manufactured personality created by his real self, a secret agent on the run named Hauser. Once Doug realises his ordinary life has been a staged fabrication, he finds himself getting caught up in a civil war on Mars. All of Paul Verhoeven's great sci-fis have this interesting quality. They're films that embrace the silliness one would otherwise find in good, bad movies, where they're such fun to watch you may as well do it amongst friends with a beer in one hand, that actually realise just because the title and premise sound a bit hokey doesn't mean the screenplays can't still be intelligent, that the films can't still be about something, that they can't say anything relevant, or that you shouldn't still be made to invest in the story or characters. And Recall is no exception. What I love the most about it, besides being one kick-ass action movie, is that its over-the-top zaniness never detracts from the serious amount of clever science fiction in its script. In fact, if anything, it helps solidify the whole point of the adventure. The flick is one giant rollercoaster ride which never stops and never feels restricted in where it could possibly go. It's got corrupt agents, robots, and even mutants until eventually the only thing left for them to do is aliens, and yeah, they totally go for it. And while many could argue that the constant twists and turns can cause one whiplash too many, the point of its whole "this is just getting weirder and weirder" narrative is in itself one giant clue pointing towards the very possible idea that Doug really is still just sitting in the chair back at the clinic dreaming the whole thing up. Which means on subsequent viewings there's always something new to catch with how many clues the movie gives to hint at what's reality and what isn't. Thankfully it never once offers a concrete answer to either side. In my humble opinion, Michael Ironside, Sharon Stone and Ronny make for brilliant villains. It's got some of the funniest and most iconic quotes from Schwarzenegger.
Now this is the plan. Get your ass to Mars.
What you been feeding this thing?
Blondes. Consider that a divorce.
You like being Hauser.
Guy's a f***ing asshole.
The score by Jerry Goldsmith is great, the practical effects and prosthetics by Rob Bottin are just as inventive and unique as ever, and amidst all of it is Verhoeven's wonderfully exaggerated, gory violence. Explaining why his execution of the R rating is so perfect can be summed up in the train station scene. Seriously, watch this. Watch how this poor guy just keeps getting shot to pieces and Arnold is still using him as a shield. That shouldn't be so funny, but it is. There are many films that I love, but none of them have ever quite reached the levels of being as fun and engaging as this one. This is a perfect blend of late 80s action, smart satirical humour, sleazy pulp noir, and a ballsy sci-fi premise executed flawlessly. Total Recall is batshit insane, and I f***ing love it. What a movie. A lot of viewers can't really tell since I script all my reviews, but in the world outside of Sam's channel, I'd like to think of myself as a somewhat goofy kind of guy. I'm always joking around, I'm always pulling faces, and while I can certainly be serious when I need to be, I highly doubt I'll ever be able to let go of the child inside, or stop trying to find the fun aspect of otherwise mundane things in everyday life. And if there was ever a movie that I've watched and thought, you know, if I were a filmmaker and this movie didn't exist before my time, I can imagine this would be what I'd make. Big would be that film. Full of heart, mature writing, a great lead performance by Tom Hanks, and a far more sincere approach than its poor 80s live-action Disney-sounding premise should allow, this tells the story of Joel Baskin, a 13-year-old boy who one day wishes to become big, and awakens the next morning to find he's aged well into his adult years, and with no parents to care for him and no money to get by, is forced to live independently, get a job, and learn how the world actually works when you grow up. Sure, the hijinks of watching Hanks do just that and make a successful career for himself through the sheer happenstance of seeing the world through the eyes of a little boy is entertaining, entertaining as ever, but I'm also a real sucker for movies where the side characters need to learn to take the sticks out of their asses, don't ask me why, and so watching Joel's boss, his co-workers, and eventually his girlfriend start out as all these headstrong, career-minded individuals that have lost touch with their inner child, then get reminded just how much more rewarding and fun life can be when you loosen up and live in the moment, is an incredibly joyous feeling that never manages to feel ham-fisted or over the top. That's probably Big's biggest secret. Each aspect and emotion with regards to growing up feels respected and honest. The young Joel scenes never feel oversimplified, the adult scenes at Macmillan Toys are never sugarcoated, and the moral message is one that never comes across as forced or one that needs spelling out for us. Probably the most surprising thing is that the romance that develops between Hanks and Elizabeth Perkins is still, to this day, shockingly endearing. Even when they go as far as to say, yeah, that 13-year-old boy really did just sleep with that 30-something-year-old woman. And while that could still easily be seen as something legitimately controversial to this day, which I'm sure it still is to some folks, as a kid, I fist-pounded the air and tipped my hat to the movie. Not only because it had serious balls not to shy away from the subject matter, but also because, well, it's exactly what I would have done. Just look at her. Nice job, Joel. Folks my age should remember this as a nostalgic classic often rerun on television in the late 90s, and if you've never considered giving it another watch, consider this my why you should push. Big teaches us that no matter how difficult life gets in the future, no matter how much work we find ourselves having to put into our lives, we should never lose that childlike sense of optimism and playfulness at heart. And I can only hope that I'm as eccentric, inspired, and happy at age 30 as Joel Baskin was in Big. See you in part 2. Cheers for watching, guys. If you'd like to help support my work, you can do so by donating to my Patreon account, which would be a massive help towards keeping Sam's channel alive and thriving. And as always, if you like this video, you can subscribe to my channel.